I'm a small-time criminal in a new town with no cash, no contacts, and no product. I'll have to survive 100 days against dangerous junkies and the police while learning the ropes in this business. From trimming plants in a motel room, to hiring employees, laundering money, buying properties and vehicles, to go from a low-level crook to a full-fledged crime lord. Things didn't go as I expected. Here we go. I spent 100 days in Schedule 1. I woke up inside my RV. First thing to do was learning the basics. Harvesting a fully grown plant, grabbing some trimmers from the storage. The process was super specific and manual. Next, I had to place the product inside each individual bag and seal it. Then I took the watering can, filled it in the sink, and watered the second pot, hitting the right spots. With the plants taken care of, it was time to speak with the customers. I pulled out my phone, which had my contacts, my relationships, levels of addiction, standards, preferences, everything. Checking out the messages app, I had some offers from Andy, Doug, and Joe. Accepting the deals, I set the time for the meeting, and they chose a place. Exiting the RV, I talked with my uncle Nelson. He asked me to grab something for him in town at the motel, said I could take his truck. After getting in, I drove through a tunnel following a desert road. Having arrived at the town, I parked in front of the hardware store. I proceeded to give the stuff to each individual client, at the back of a pawn shop, behind the gas station, and the last one at his house. Doug said that his friend Chelsea might like my stuff. To unlock new customers, the fastest way was to give a free sample to them. This Chelsea was near the doctor's office. Going there, she seemed to like the product, and now I could expect deal offers from her. Every customer had different preferences for product type and effects, but more on that later. Next, I had to buy 2 bags of soil at the hardware store, but as soon as I exited the place, there was a notification saying body search in progress, and I could see a police officer walking towards me. He started searching me up. Fortunately, I was able to conceal one item, managing to get away. In the future, I would have to deal with vehicle checkpoints, curfews, and more. Talking to my uncle's contact, they said the product wasn't paid for and that Nelson owed them money. They let me go for one last time, giving me some seeds, but told me that my uncle should pay up soon. I drove back to the ranch. Nelson told me not to worry about these guys. Going to the van, I had to cut the soil bag and pour all the dirt inside the pot, water it, up the cap of the vial containing the seed, drop it in the hole, and move every single piece of dirt to cover it up. Amazing. Finally, I went to sleep, gaining a few $100 and some XP. On day 2, the police was here. My uncle was gone. I had to drive away and escape. This was the end of the prologue. In a fresh town with no cash, no product, and no contacts. Time to get to work. Once again, I began taking care of my 2 plants, watering them. Then, I got a new message saying, "I've heard you're in some trouble. Best not to talk over your mobile phone. Go find a payphone. UN." I pull up my map on the phone, checking out the layout of the city, plus some potential customers. On the way, I saw a couple of police officers patrolling around, and close by, a sign saying that curfews went from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The payphone started ringing. It was my uncle.
"Our luck finally ran out. The feds have got me locked up while I wait for a trial. Glad to hear you managed to sleep out though. Back before I moved to Serena Flats, I used to live out there in Highland Point. Not the nicest town around, but plenty of opportunities for someone in your line of work. If memory serves, I've got some cash stashed out there. It ain't much, but it will be enough to get you back on your feet. You can find it stashed near the town hall fountain, in the canal, and behind the supermarket. Go grab it, head back to the RV, and we'll go from there."
I went around looking for the 3 dead drops, earning in total almost $400. The city had tons of different buildings to visit. I even walked by a casino, but it was too early for the opening hours. On my way back to the RV, an explosion. Everything was destroyed. There was a note. "Welcome to Highland Point. This is our territory. Don't interfere. TB." I had nothing left. I went to the payphone to talk with my uncle.
"There's a powerful cartel in town, the Benzies family. I figured there'd eventually be a problem, but didn't think they'd find you this quickly. Looks like you're gonna need somewhere low-key to stay for a while. Head over to the motel and ask about getting a room. After that, you'll be needing some new equipment. There's a hardware store just northeast of the motel. Grab a grow tent, soil, and watering can."
First, I went to meet the motel manager. Managed to rent a room for $75 a week. I went to check it out, and it wasn't much. Had a TV, a bed, storage, and the sink. I needed to go to the hardware store, but it was already too late. Not only was it probably closed, but the curfew was gonna start soon, and the police will arrest me on site. I decided to go to sleep, getting 100 XP to stay. On day 3, I went to the store. There were 2 types of currency, cash and online balance. Customers pay with cash, but most legal shops only accept card. I didn't have enough money in my online balance to buy all that I needed, so I had to visit an ATM. Thankfully, there was one right across the street. I deposited $300 in cash and bought a grow tent and a bag of soil. The owner asked me if I was new in town and what line of work I was in. I told him agriculture. He was really nice and gave me some to grow. What a great man. Back at the motel, I placed the tent, opened the bag, filled a pot with soil, picked up the empty bag, put it in the trash, and went to talk to Nelson. Just in case, I decided to close the curtains before leaving. Once on the phone,
"You're almost ready to go, but you're missing one key ingredient, seeds. You'll need to speak to a supplier to get your hands on some seeds. I pass your number on to Albert Hoover, the local seed supplier. Send him a message and request a dead drop. I've vouched for you, so you won't have to pay up front. Your order will go on your tab, which you can pay off in the future."
got a message from Albert saying, "Hello, our mutual friend has asked me to help you acquire some seeds. Send me a message if you'd like to order some. Nelson has put in a good word for you, so I'll provide you a tab which you can pay off later." I told him I needed a dead drop for 1 seed. Should be ready in 30 minutes. Soon enough, I got the location of the dead drop, Pawn Shop West Hall. For some reason, I didn't realize I had a compass pointing to the exact location of the drop. Once I realized this, I grabbed the seeds, went back to the motel room and put it in the pot. With the plant watered, I threw away the vial. Thing is, now the trash can was full and I needed to buy a bag at the hardware store to empty it. It was pretty late, so I went to sleep. The next day, the plant had grown completely. For today, I needed to buy a packaging station and 10 baggies, plus the trash bag. I went to see Dan and bought everything from him. Back at home, I took out all the trash, got rid of it inside a bin outside. Next, I set up the packaging station and got to work, placing every single product inside the baggies. Now, I was able to use the product manager app on my phone to list products on sale. After finishing with the packaging, I listed it on sale. Soon after, I got my first offer. Told him to meet me in the afternoon. Place will be next to Bud's bar. I went there and sealed my first deal in this town. That wasn't the only one. Sam at the basketball court was my second client. Things were going smoothly. But it was time to grow the production. I bought another tent at Dan's shop. The problem was, there wasn't much room in the motel. While trying to figure out where to place the tent, I got a third offer. We settled to meet at night across the street, and because of delivering it so quickly, I got a bonus. After moving all my furniture and setting up everything in my room, I went to sleep. Got more than $300 that day and leveled up to Street Rat 2. Day 5. Checking my phone, I had an offer this morning, but I slept through it and the client lost interest. Time to talk with Uncle.
You finished a few deals and made some decent cash, but if you're looking to make real money, you'll need to expand your operations. More product and more customers. The best way to gain new customers is to give a free sample to a friend of an existing customer. You can view all potential customers on your map. Grab some product and give them a free sample. With a bit of luck, they will agree to become a customer. To keep up with more customers, you'll need more product. The motel room isn't gonna cut it for much longer. Time for an upgrade. There's a cheap room for sale above the Chinese restaurant just north of your motel room. Save $800, then go ask about buying the room.
As soon as I finished the call, I had another offer, which I accepted, but I didn't have enough product ready. I quickly messaged Albert and bought 4 seeds. Should be ready in about 2 hours. I then went to an ATM to deposit all my cash and bought more soil from Dan. After filling the pots, I got the location of the dead drop. The place was blocked by the police. They even stopped me and searched me up. Thankfully, I was able to hide the product and pass by unnoticed. Once I got the seeds, I tried going back the way I came, but then the officer wanted to check me again. I wouldn't be able to hide everything, so I had no choice. I tried to escape. Back at the room, I put one of the seeds and used the speed to grow Dan gave me. It made the plant go from 0 to 50% in an instant. I tried to buy more at the shop, but I needed to be street rat level 3 and I was just level 2. Going back to the motel, the plant was at 72%. Maybe I would be able to harvest it just in time for the deal. While that was growing, I took care of the second pot, bought some baggies and another grow tent. After setting it up, the plant was ready. I trimmed it, put the product in the packaging, and right before the curfew was about to begin, I sealed the deal. Back at the motel, a siren started blasting. It was no longer safe to go outside. I had 3 other offers pending. I set up a meeting for 2 of them and went to sleep. After setting up 2 more plants, I got a message from Albert. He was asking for the $150 I owed him from the seeds. I didn't want to be on bad terms with the only provider I knew, so I went to pay him at his stash. Thing is, I was short on cash. After withdrawing some at the ATM, I finally paid my debt. What I didn't realize was that I was running late to the deals I set up for this morning. I barely was able to arrive in time. Got another deal for the night. Paid a visit to Dan to get more bags, finished packing up the remaining products, took the trash out, and set up a third pot with soil. It was time to look for more potential customers. I gave a free sample to Donna, owner of the motel. She really liked it and will get in touch soon. The second person didn't like it at all. Last one, Peter, was inside a clothing store. He loved it and will soon contact me for more. In this shop, I was able to buy tons of stuff, vests, and even a saucepan. Shortly after, while I was finishing a deal with Kyle, 2 question marks appeared. We almost got spotted by the police. I even got body searched right after. They were really doing its work. Back at home, while trimming some plants, I had a message from a customer. This time, I tried doing a counter offer, asking for a higher price, and it worked. Got another meeting for tomorrow, prepared all the product, and went to bed. Money was going up, even my reputation, reaching Street Rat 3. In the morning, I took care of all the deals and ordered more seeds. Continuing to unlock more customers, I gave a free sample to Geraldine, who was in. Then, right beside a crime scene, I found a dead drop with the seeds I ordered. After unlocking Chloe from the mini super as a new customer, it was time to talk to Miss Meng at the Chinese restaurant to get a bigger place for my operations. With the cash in hand, I paid $800 and was now the owner of the room upstairs. It was much bigger. I proceeded to move all my stuff from the motel to the new base of operations. With that done, I planted 3 seeds, took care of a couple deals, and talked with my uncle.
You've got a decent base of operations and a growing customer base. You'll be pulling in some proper cash now, but you'll need help to manage all your customers. Time to think about recruiting a dealer. There's a guy, Benji Coleman. He'll be the first dealer you can work with. You won't be able to hire a dealer until one of their friends has recommended you. Benji is friends with Peggy, Beth, and Ludwig. Focus on selling to them until one of them recommends you.
After taking the trash out, packaging the product, and selling some deals, I deposited $1,000 into my account. Checking the app, I realized there was a new type of seed to buy. It was thanks to my higher reputation. Before taking on a whole new product, I ordered 3 more seeds of the original, since I got a huge offer for 8 units. After going to the dead drop, I set everything up back at the base. While doing so, a woman pulled up at my door asking for product. I didn't have enough for everyone, so I sent her away. After taking care of the deal, I gave a free sample to Ludwig, one of the persons who could get me in touch with the dealer. Bought more soil and tents to be able to keep up with the demand before going to sleep. I had so many goods that carrying so many individual bags was starting to be cumbersome. Thanks to my reputation, I now was able to buy a jar instead, which allowed me to put 5 of them inside. What I didn't realize was that if the order was for less than that, couldn't take them out of the jar. So I ended up giving one for free to one of the customers and got a generosity bonus. The business was booming, getting more seeds and paying what I owed. I had so many deals lined up, specifically from the people I had to befriend, that I ordered even more product from Albert. After realizing the jars weren't going to be enough, I bought more plastic bags, emptying some of the jars and changing the packaging. I had so many meetings for the following day that I couldn't even see them all on screen. I reached a new rank that night, Hoodlum 1, unlocking a new region, Westville. After dealing with all the clients in the morning, the last one, Chloe, told me that Benji Coleman was a dealer who could help me. Once I got the new seats at the back of the motel, I met with him. He wanted $500 to start working together and a 20% cut of every sale. I accepted. Having taken care of all the meetings for the day, I gave Benji 10 bags. Now, I was able to assign him specific customers. I proceeded with my everyday tasks the next morning, hoping that Benji would take care of the customers I assigned him. But he didn't go. The deals expired. I went to talk to him, and he still had the product. Mick was right in front of the motel, and I saw Benji leaving the place and not doing anything. I kept following him, and it turns out he gave some product to Sam. That's when I realized that the deals I had were exclusively with me. Benji was not involved in those. The deals he did were completely separate, as passive income. With Benji completing his first deal, it was time to talk to Uncle Nelson.
With Benji's help, you'll be able to move a good quantity of product. Now, it's time to start manufacturing and selling higher value product. You might have noticed you can buy different seed strains from Albert, but you can create even more unique products with the mixing station. At a mixing station, you mix products with special ingredients to create new mixes with unique effects. Customers will pay more for these products. Go purchase a mixing station from Dan's Hardware. After that, you'll want to grab something to mix with the product from the local gas mart.
After taking care of some customers, I went to buy the mixing station, set up everything, and went to sleep. The next morning, after taking care of a meeting, I went to Gasmart. There were a lot of items that could be used for mixing. I bought some soda and a banana. Didn't have enough room for anything else. I came across a cash for trash machine. Turns out, if I picked the garbage and dropped it inside, I got some money. Back at the lab, I trimmed all the plants and began mixing. First, I tried a banana, putting it all in a bowl, and got Aspen Death, which had the properties sneaky and gingeritis, with a market value of $50. Then, I mixed the plant with soda, which gave me Thick Monkey. It was calming and energizing, selling for less, $46. It seemed the trick was to combine the right effects. Once taking care of the deals I had, I talked with my uncle.
That's your first mix done. There's a wide range of different ingredients with unique effects. Each one will affect the value of your product differently. Keep trying different mixed recipes, and you'll be able to make some seriously valuable products. You know everything you need to get yourself established. I'll call you later when you're ready to start manufacturing some hotter stuff.
Now, I had the following objectives: talk to the real estate agents, the dealership manager, the mechanic, and lastly, mix a strain worth at least $60. I will need more space, so I bought a large storage rack and more bags. Turns out Benji ran out of stock. Gotta get him some more product tomorrow. On day 13, I paid a visit to Highland Auto. The cars were so expensive. The cheapest one was $5,000. Then I talked with the real estate agent. The lowest value was $6,000 for the bungalow, and the cheapest business was the laundromat for $4,000. I needed to make tons of money. Finally, I went to the auto shop to talk with the mechanic. He could repaint my vehicle if I had one. Now, I had lots of things to aim for. Stopping by the Gasmart, I bought a couple more ingredients to mix later. Then I collected the earnings from Benji. Not bad. I gave him some more stock. With that done, I deposited $2,000 to my bank account. Bought a trash grabber at Dan's, which was pretty good, had its own portable can to carry the trash around, and continued mixing. I tried some paracetamol with the plant and got OG Express, which had the best value until now for $55. If I wanted a product that could sell for more than $60, maybe I needed to order a stronger seed from Albert. After doing so, I collected them the next day at the dead drop. Back at the Gasmart, I bought a donut, soda, and banana. Managed to plant the new seeds before going to sleep. Continuing with the mixing, using the banana, made Purple Monkey, which sold for $57, so close to $60. Lastly, I tried the donut, but the value was lower, $52. I went to Dan's and bought another large storage, tons of bags of Zoil, got some cash at the ATM, and paid what I owed to Albert. On my way to the Gasmart, I stumbled upon the bungalow. It didn't look bad at all. I was even able to take a peek through the glass door in the backyard. Nice place. After buying even more ingredients, I kept on mixing, experimenting. That night, I reached Hoodlum 3. I was starting to get desperate. After buying more stuff at the shop, including a display cabinet, which I realized could only hold 4 items, I continued working on the mixing station until I got Nightmare Haze. It sold for $69. For some reason, this didn't seem to complete any objective. It was bugged. Restarting the game seemed to fix it. Now I got a new objective, to reach $10,000. I tried mixing the new strains with the different ingredients. The following day, I bought more storage, tons of bags, and started to sell all the new plants I got. After sealing a deal, I stumbled upon a shop that sold skateboards. I bought the Cruiser for $500. This was a game changer. Not only did I move faster, I looked the part too. I used it to go from one meeting to the other. Just before finishing the last deal, the police caught us. I started to run, getting on the skateboard, but another officer saw me. I ran through an alleyway, but I couldn't lose them. Not only that, but I was a wanted man now. The police cornered me. They started shooting tasers at me. They even began to cuff me, but thankfully, I got through them. At one point, I ran between some trees and hid in the darkness. But another officer. I got away again. I thought I was gonna lose them this time. When I thought things couldn't get worse, I got tased. Barely made it, but the worst of it all, I ended up being wanted dead or alive. They began shooting bullets at me. I had nowhere to go. I almost was going to give up until I found a trash container, jumped inside, and waited. I was safe. I couldn't believe it. The worst thing was that the curfew was still ongoing, and if anyone saw me again, I was dead. The motel room saved my life. Time to get to work. I ordered some OG seeds from Albert to see if anything better came out of the mixing station. I needed something fast and efficient to sell. While waiting, I unlocked 2 new customers, closed some deals, and finally grabbed the new seeds. On day 19, I mixed the plants with mouthwash. This got me a product worth $64. It was so easy to make and worth almost double from the original. Later on, I managed to reach $10,000 earned, completing the objective. Time to talk to Uncle.
10K in earnings, not bad at all. You're gonna need to purchase some equipment. Your best bet for getting the tools you need is the warehouse. It's the local spot where you can do business with like-minded individuals. Weapons, specialized equipment, workers for hire, all the good stuff. It's the big brick building behind the liquor store. Head down there and see if you can mosey your way in. Just keep in mind, they'll only let you in once you build a solid rep for yourself.
After this, I was caught off guard by a police officer who wanted to search me up. I had no way to hide everything. Time to run. At one point, I thought I lost them, but then... On day 20, I headed to the warehouse. Knocking on the door, a shady guy answered. I asked if I could go in, but they told me to get lost. I needed to reach rank Hoodlum 5 to enter. I went around to see if there was any way to sneak inside, but no luck. On my way back, I bought tons of mouthwash and mixed all of it in the station. The new strain was now on sale. Trading this product gave me so much more money. Going to the basketball course to seal another deal, I stumbled upon a baseball bat. Could be useful if I get caught again. At this point, I bought so many tents that I was outgrowing my place. This room was too small for me now. That night, I unlocked a new ramp and access to the warehouse. This time, the shady guy said that his boss heard about me. I was able to enter, but only after 6 p.m. While waiting, I unlocked new customers, got a tattoo, closed some deals. After asking Albert for more seeds, he said that I was reliable. Since we had been working for a while, I could organize an in-person meeting with him. Finally, it was time. I was able to enter the warehouse. I met the arms dealer who sold melee weapons and firearms. In order to buy any firearms, I needed a higher rank. Then I talked to Oscar, who sold specialized equipment and supplies. Lastly, I went upstairs to meet the boss. If I wanted to hire workers, I needed to talk to him. Costs depended on the talent I needed. Cleaners and packagers were cheap. Botanists cost a bit more, and the chemist was the most expensive. To hire anybody, I needed a bed for them. Before buying anything or hiring anyone, I needed a bigger place. Then I realized that I had an app in my phone to buy stuff online, delivered to my home. I was just about to leave the warehouse when suddenly a junkie asked me for more product. There was an officer right outside who was just about to spot us. I told him to get out and managed to hide in time. The curfew was on. I was stuck here. Going outside was too dangerous. I tried hanging around, waiting till the curfew finished, but I couldn't do that. Once it was 4 a.m., time was frozen. I needed to sleep on a bed in order to progress to the next day, so I had no other choice than going outside and facing the police. After all that happened, I completely forgot about the deals for today. I didn't have any product to give to my clients. I went running to the gas station to buy more mouthwash, but there wasn't no one at the counter. I even tried stealing some, but I wasn't able to. Desperate, I went back to my place and grabbed any samples I found. The deals were about to expire. I ended up giving my clients other types of plants and they all accepted. Things were good. Now that I knew the people in the warehouse, it was time to scale the business. I visited the Race Real Estate and bought the bungalow, locked my things up, and went to see the new place. It was great. Had a big living room, kitchen, bedroom, even a backyard with an amazing sunset view. Took a while to move all the things and set up everything. By day 25, all was done, but now I was low on money after buying this place. If I wanted to get the new equipment, I needed to get to work. I spent a couple of days mixing, as much as possible, packaging everything, and then another couple of days delivering everything. One of the clients went bald right in front of me. It was one of the effects of the product. Whole town was gonna go bald. No one seemed to mind, except for Kim. She didn't like it at all. I also gave tons of the product to Benji, my dealer, to speed up the process. Back at the warehouse, I bought a lab oven, chemistry station, packaging station Mark II, acid, phosphorus, and gasoline. I set up everything at the bungalow. With this, I would be able to make liquid, but there was one ingredient I was missing to make it into powder. Tablets. To be able to get it, I had to unlock a new supplier. To do so, I needed to become friends with Jerry Montero or Meg Cooley. As I already knew Jerry, I'd work on him. While waiting for Jerry to contact me, I focused on growing my plant business even more. I told Alvar to meet me in person, went under the bridge, and bought 50 seeds from him, and even more mouthwash and bags in the gas mart. Before moving into powder, I wanted my plants to sell themselves. Back home, I tried the new packaging station Mark II. It was insanely faster. I continued packing up the product. That afternoon, one of my clients told me about a friend of theirs, Molly Presley, who was a new dealer, should get in touch. Visiting Benji later that day, he had earned $2,000. The purple stuff was insane. Bought 10 more grow tents at Dance. This business needed to become an empire. That night, I unlocked a new rank and a mixing station Mark II. Perfect. On day 31, I realized I missed a text from Jerry, the guy I needed to befriend. I was so caught up on work that I totally forgot. But now, my room was packed to the brim of tents. This was beginning to be too much for a one-person job. Taking care of the plants, the deals, the ingredients, the mixing, packaging, the trash, I had to delegate. Visiting the warehouse once again, I bought the new mixing station for $2,000. I was running out of space in the bungalow. Had to set up the machine in the middle of the living room. But this was so much worth it. I didn't need to put the ingredients by hand, and it handled greater quantities. So efficient. The orders were piling up. I couldn't even see them all on screen, and they kept coming. I had to say no to a bunch. There was even a junkie that came to my house asking me for more. The packing station saved my life. It was so fast that the bags sometimes got stuck on the bench. I worked so much that night that I was awake till 4 in the morning, grinding, locked in. Finally, on day 32, I befriended Jerry. He told me about Shirley, who could sell me the tablets, and passed my number to her. Shortly after, the payphone started ringing. Uncle,
You're gonna need to hook yourself up with a supplier. I don't know any, so you're on your own for this one. There ought to be someone in Westville that can get you what you need.
seems the quest unlocked too late since I already did that. I hired the botanist to join my business. There was almost no room in my home. Had to put a bed in the middle of the kitchen. But now I had my first employee. With this clipboard, I was able to give orders and organize everything. It was a lot. I could assign a specific seed, additives, and destination to each pot. To make the botanist work, I had to prepare a storage rack with all the things she needed. Watering can, trimmers, seeds, soil, all of it. I assigned her to it, and then also which grow tents she had to take care of. Last but not least, I had to leave money inside her briefcase on her bed. That did the trick. Emma started to work on the plants. This let me take care of the trash that was all over the place. After taking care of some deals, I returned home and Emma wasn't working. Turns out I needed to assign her a destination for the pots. Spent all afternoon doing that. I also placed my first online order for GasMart, bought 60 units of mouthwash. 3 hours later, the truck arrived outside my home. Having unloaded all the ingredients, I prepared tons of product to get ready for the dozens of deals I had coming. Got a new rank that night. On day 34, I reached the maximum weekly amount for deposits at the ATM. The payphone started ringing. It was Uncle.
Looks like you've reached your weekly deposit limit. To avoid arousing suspicion, you can only deposit so much cash each week via ATMs. If you want to convert more cash to online balance, you're gonna need to start laundering. Laundering involves using a legal business to conceal the origin of your less than legal cash. First things first, you're gonna need a business. Go check out Raise Realty. You're probably not gonna be buying out the casino anytime soon, but there should be a cheap business for sale.
Before buying any new business, I wanted to get my cash flow to a higher level, streamlining my manufacturing process. There was a lot I could improve. As a matter of fact, 2 deals were about to expire. Trying to get them done in time, I didn't realize a cop was watching me in the middle of a deal. They started chasing me. I managed to lose them shortly after, but then I got caught again. This time, I got a wanted level and had to run all around the shore, going inside my house by the backyard and wait until losing them once and for all. That was it. 2 deals were lost. It was time to lock in. I got tired of running out of space, so I got rid of the old stations and the display cabinet. To replace them for new large shelves, I bought a dance shop. With everything set up at home, I restocked on baggies and mouthwash. Kept mixing new product, taking care of the meetings, and checking up on Benji. I wanted to make my business as automated as I could. So I visited the warehouse after 6 p.m. Talking with the boss, I hired the cleaner to take care of the trash, and the handler to take care of packaging and logistics. Back at home, I met William and Jonathan and set up their beds. On day 36, after closing the dozen deals I had in the morning, I got enough cash to pay both of my new employees. Now Jonathan started to work with the trash. He cleaned the whole kitchen. Great man. Then I assigned the packaging station to William and also told him to make sure the mixing station was full of ingredients. While doing so, junkies kept coming to my door asking me for product. It was a good way of making money without having to go anywhere myself. For some reason, Jonathan said he had nothing to clean. Even when one of the rooms was full of trash, I realized William was super slow to pack things up. It was much quicker if I did it myself. After taking care of the morning deals and seeing Benji, now that I had more people, I wanted to experiment mixing new ingredients to see if I could get a better strain. I went to the GasMart and bought tons of stuff. After working for a while at the mixing station, I found the product worth more than $100, but it required 6 different ingredients. I needed to figure out how to mass produce this. On day 38, I finally understood how the cleaner actually worked. The trash cans had a certain radius, only visible when holding the clipboard. Any garbage inside that radius, he would pick it up. After this, I started to produce a full stack of this new high-value product. It would take a while, since I needed to mix 6 different ingredients. Once I had it, I put it on sale, and my phone started exploding. So many messages. What I didn't realize was that this product was 100% addicting. This would let me hook my clients and ask them for more money than the market price. By day 39, things started to roll, packaging the new product and already mixing the next batch, all while receiving more offers. This product was worth so much that in a single day of work, I got almost $3,000 while reaching a new rank. Its effects were really powerful. While I was buying more ingredients to prepare for the next batch, I realized that I needed to get someone to take care of the mixing process while I was away. The deals never stopped coming. There was so much demand that I started to negotiate for more money. First, $10 extra, then 20, then 30. I even asked for $50 more, for a total of $700 for only 4 units. I was so confident that I asked Ludwig for $100, but he rejected the deal. Maybe because his addiction level was only 61%. The time had finally come. I hired the chemists. They will take care of the mixing station while I was out with the customers. Back at home, I met with George. He had the whole suit and everything ready to go. I set up his bed and put him on the station, earned $2,700 that day. On day 41, I finished setting the new guy up. The workflow was a success. The handler grabbed the ingredients from the shelf, put it on the mixing station, and then the chemist turned it on, rinse and repeat. With that taken care of, I closed the deals on the streets and gave Benji the old version of the product to finish selling it off. While moving around, I messed up and got too close to the police checkpoint. They wanted to body search me. I had no choice but to escape and hide in my house. This put me on the spot, since I had almost no time to finish the remaining deals. I was barely able to complete them all. Before finishing the day, I bought even more ingredients. But when I arrived home, I realized something went wrong. Turns out that after mixing the ingredients, the chemist put the plant on another shelf. That stopped the cycle since the handler didn't have any product to put in the machine. Once that was fixed, everything went well. But the process took a while. Finishing the day, selling 23 of these got me almost $4,000. I also got to Hustler 1 and unlocked the downtown region. On day 42, it was time to buy the new business. I went to Ray's Real Estate and acquired the laundromat for $4,000. Before going to visit it, I took care of the remaining deals. One of them was behind the pawn shop, and that was when I realized it was open. This shop was added in a recent update. Here, you could sell only legal products and get some money back. A couple hours later, I went to check out my new business. Going through the back door, I found a computer. Here, I could launder up to $2,000 every 24 hours. Back at home, the product was done with no problems. I wanted to streamline the process even more. Having to buy more ingredients all the time was too time-consuming. I needed to have a place to store large quantities of stock, so I bought more racks at Dan's shop, set them up in the kitchen, and made a big order of 40 units of every ingredient. On day 44, while grinding meeting after meeting, a junkie came out of nowhere and asked me for some product on the spot. I offered it at the normal price, but he refused and pulled out the knife. I managed to hide it just in time. The police car went by. I quickly ran away from the crime scene. With so many deals, the skateboard wasn't gonna cut it. It was time to buy a car. The next day, I visited the car dealership. There was a wide variety of options, from a cheap broken small thing to deluxe sport cars. I decided to go for something in the middle, reliable, most importantly, with lots of storage. I got the Viper for $9,000. The good thing was, I could drive around while I had the map open. Not only that, when talking with the client, I could also give him anything I had stored stored in the trunk. The UI was a bit messed up though. I fixed the scaling on the settings options. Taking care of the deals with the car was a breeze. Parking it at my base, I suddenly remembered that there was a new dealer I hadn't talked to yet. She was my neighbor next door. I went there and hired her. On day 46, I realized that I could order the handler to unload deliveries too, automating the process even more. That night, I visited the warehouse and bought another mixing station Mark II. But then, something went wrong in the mixing station. I seemed to create a new mix, not the one I needed. No idea what happened. This made me lose so much time that the deals for the day almost expired. Now that I had a car, I was able to go to the gas mart with it and fill the trunk to the brim with all that I needed. Back at home, the handler took care of unloading everything himself. Later that day, I gave Molly, the new dealer, the messed up product I got before. Then, I assigned her some customers from the dealer's app. I realized I could assign 8 instead of 4. Same thing for Benji. Here, I realized I lost the footage for days 48 and 49, where I managed to reach a new rank that let me buy higher quality tablets. With that, I decided to start making crystal. Liquid was ready. The only thing remaining was to put it in the oven. After dealing with the customers, it finished cooking, and I used the hammer to break it all apart, getting 10 units of crystal. Each one sold for $70. Better than the OG plants, but less than the product I was selling. So I tried mixing the crystal, getting Tropic Thunder, which sold for over $100. I put it up on sale. It wasn't long till I got an offer from Peter. When I gave it to him, something went wrong. This stuff was really strong. Back at the lab, I began making a new batch, mixing the acid, tablets, and phosphorus. I stirred it all, lowered the boiling flask, and poured the mixture into it, raised it again, and started the burner. It was tricky because I had to carefully regulate the temperature until it was just right. Now, it was a matter of waiting 8 hours. By day 53, after mixing one ingredient after the other, I managed to get a new crystal worth over $300. Trying to optimize this as much as I could, I tried jacking up the suggested price on my app. Offers seemed to keep coming, over $400 for only 2 units. To improve my logistics, I bought the golden skateboard, increasing my speed even further. This and the car will be the perfect combo. By day 56, I figured it didn't make sense to keep making plants. It was time to switch to full crystals. I bought the ingredients I needed and then set everything up at the bungalow to automate the process. After ordering some more tablets, I finished mixing my first full batch of pink crystal. That night, I put it on sale at a high price, and the offers started pouring in. On day 58, my first deal was complete. Thought it went well, but then... This thing was like nothing I'd ever seen. I freed my employees from their assigned customers, so I could take the offers myself, and they just kept coming. The clients kept doing this. Junkies continued interrupting me in the middle of meetings, and one of them... My empire was growing with no limits. I realized it when I walked past the tattoo shop and the guy inside looked like this. That single day, I made over $4,000 all by myself. I kept on working until I got a name, Brad Crosby. He could be a new addition to my organization. I hired him and bought a lab oven and a chemistry station. Stock was starting to pile up. That was good. I reached the rank Bagman 1. With 2 ovens working at the same time, that night I sold a total of 16 units, with a profit over $9,000. Now, money was beginning to be a bottleneck. I had over $10,000 in cash without being able to deposit anymore. I could only launder $2,000 daily, while I was earning almost $10K each day, and I wasn't gonna stop there. That night, I had shelves full of ingredients. I assigned both the handler and the chemist a second mixing station. Now, we had 2 batches batches constantly mixing at the same time, while the bedroom had 2 chemistry stations and ovens processing too. The profits kept growing. By day 65, I had over 15,000 in cash and another 15K in the bank. Time to buy a second business. I went to Raise Real Estate and bought a post office. It let me launder $4,000 every 24 hours. If you take into account the laundromat, it brings it to a total of 6,000 per day. Next to the office, I stumbled upon a boutique store, another new thing in the recent update. You could buy things like wall-mounted shelves, safes, old clocks, gold bars, and even a golden toilet. After laundering some more money at the laundromat, I thought I was able to afford the next property, the barn, but it cost $25,000. I needed to put in the work. On day 67, the chemist got stuck. I wasn't sure what was going on, so this should fix it. I gave some stock to my distributors, all 3 of them, and also assigned them customers. Back at home, things didn't look good. Thankfully, the next morning, all went back to normal. Day went by without problems. And also, I found out that the Eastern Gas Mart had a loading bay area. When parking there, the items that I bought would be instantly loaded into the trunk directly. Back at home, not again. I tried rearranging the shelf's location. Maybe this way he wouldn't get stuck. It didn't work. Starting to get desperate, I realized I had enough money to get the barn, so I went and bought it. Before moving there, I wanted to fix the workflow in the bungalow first. The problem was, this guy was absolutely broken. I ended up firing him. While waiting for the warehouse to open, I collected the earnings from my distributors and then hired a few more people. Plus, I bought new stations for the new place. On day 71, I met Edward, the new chemist. After setting everything up, it finally worked. Hopefully, he won't get stuck again. Time to see the new place. I got some storage racks on the way at the hardware store. To reach the barn, I had to drive through some dense woods. Place already had 2 loading bays. The employees were waiting outside. Opening the doors, this thing was massive. I set up all the stations as storage, ordered some ingredients online, and while that arrived, I headed to the bungalow. The bad thing about the barn was how far apart it was located from everything. I had to drive across the whole town to get from one place to another. I kept on working, ordering more tablets, going to the barn, and unloading the deliveries. The dead drop was in a new place, all the way south at the gazebo. I did so many deals with Shirley that she now offered me to arrange an in-person meeting for greater quantities. After collecting another drop under the bridge, I put the tablets in the station at the barn, signed the chemist and the handler. Thing is, I forgot to buy beds. Had to make a quick run to the hardware store and get some. Then I set them upstairs. The workflow was a success. Chemist worked on the chem station and the oven. By collecting the earnings from my workers, I had over 20,000 in cash. Money was going out the window. I kept on laundering. After making sure all employees were getting paid, I got a batch of 20 crystals. The first mix in the barn began. But then I realized there was a bottleneck. If the same chemist had to take care of the chemistry lab, the oven, and the mixing station, everything slowed down dramatically, taking double the time, if not even more. It was time to grow the team. At 6 p.m., I went to the warehouse and hired a chemist for the bungalow and 2 for the barn and reassigned their stations. In both places, I kept ranking up. I had to set up an in-person meeting with Shirley to buy a big batch of tablets and also order an online delivery from Oscar to the barn. Production quantity was no longer a problem. I had so much that it was piling up, even with my dealers full of clients. Now, if I wanted to get more customers, I needed to rank up, and the way to gain the most experience was to do the deals myself. So, even if I didn't receive any messages, I would actively look for people walking around and offer them some product, stopping them on their tracks, one after the other. That night, I got around 350 XP. For comparison, the next day, I didn't didn't do any additional deals. I just put all the ingredients in the barn from the online delivery and kept on shopping. That night, I only got 125 experience points. So, with that in mind, I took away the customers from my people and sold products to every single person I came across in town by myself. At the end of the day, I won over 400 XP, reaching Bagman 5 and unlocking the brick press and high-quality tablets. I continued closing deals and selling the stuff I had to clear my stock before moving to the high-quality stuff. At one point, the police body searched me and I had my inventory full of stuff. I have no idea how, but I managed to hide everything and pass by unnoticed. Got over 400 XP that night too. Locked in, I kept grinding, reaching Enforcer 1, unlocking the Cauldron, but most importantly, the docks, a new region with 9 potential customers, 1 distributor and 1 supplier. That meant new product. On day 84, I began unlocking new clients. First, Cranky Frank. Second, the mechanic. All was going good until Lisa Gardner didn't like my sample. And then, all the way south, I encountered a police checkpoint. Going past it, I met with another potential customer, but we were right in front of the officers and we got seen. Had to run and hide. I managed to lose the heat, but then Mark sat in a bus stop right in front of the checkpoint. There was no bus to take. Why was he even there? I later managed to meet him down the street, but he didn't like my sample either. The thing was, I needed him to get to the supplier. The next day, on my way to laundering some money, this happened. Thank God there was an unstuck button. Later on, I met with Javier. He liked my product. Fortunately, he was the other person who could get me a meeting with a new supplier too. I tried again with Mac, but no luck. Didn't matter. I only needed to befriend one of them. I went back with Lisa Gardner. This time, I managed to convince her. Next, Melissa. She didn't like it. Thanks to offering Javier some product with a heavy discount, our relationship went up to a neutral level. He didn't seem to have any favorite effects, and his addiction levels were low, so it was just a matter of patience. After that, I managed to convince Melissa with another sample. This was huge, because she was friends with the distributor in the region. Mac still didn't like my stuff. And not only that, Javier refused my offer. He didn't even want something for free. I thought I maybe could cook something specifically suited for Mac's taste. Something focused, spicy, and long-faced. I bought the ingredients at the gas station. Back at the bungalow, I mixed the stuff. Getting something spicy and long-faced. Didn't manage to get the focused effect though, but I figured this should be enough. Before going to see Mac, I had to take care of a deal that was right next to a police checkpoint again, but this one was even worse. I had to sneak right in front of them and deliver the goods between the trees. I have no idea how we did not get caught. Following this, I talked with Javier. This time, he accepted the offer. And not only that, he told me about a guy called Salvador, the supplier. He could hook me up with seeds for the new product. I ordered a dead drop for 10 units. While waiting, I decided to give Mac the crystal I specially made for him. But then, I gave up. I have no idea how to please this guy. As I was now going to move to a new production line, I needed new equipment. But the warehouse only opened after 6 p.m. Thing is, something weird happened. A junkie came to me asking for product. While doing so, she seemed to have opened the door, and I was able to get inside. Even if it was plain daytime at 2 p.m. I took advantage of this and bought a cauldron, a big press, drying rack, full spectrum grow light, suspension rack, and extra long life soil. We were going to the next level. At the location of the drop, gazebo in a residential park. Went there and grabbed the package. Time to sleep. On day 89, I installed the cauldron. Here is where I put the leaves and use gasoline to power it up. Then, the brick press. It required 20 units to make one pack. The drying rack will let me put leaves and improve their quality. And the suspension rack holds the light that helps the plant grow faster. I didn't have any pots, so I went to check the nearby store. Unfortunately, it didn't have any for sale. But there were grow tents. I bought one and set it up. I don't think the new light worked with this, but but it was enough for a test run. I cut the bag, put in the soil, then the seed, back to the store. I got a pot sprinkler and the can, set it up, and it was great. Just with one tap, the whole thing was watered. This product took so much longer to grow, real slow. If I had some proper pots, probably the light will make this faster. I went to check Dan's store, but he didn't sell any either. Last option was Oscar, but he didn't put it for sale in his online shop. I had to wait till 6 p.m. to go to the warehouse. There, I bought some air pots, which were pricier, but improved plant growth by 15%, and also some sprinklers, soil, and the packaging station. Last but not least, I hired a botanist. The next morning, the pot only grew by 29%. This definitely needed improvement. I assigned the bed to Ryan and then set up a rack with supplies. With that done, the new hire began working on the pot, putting the soil, preparing the seed, and watering it. I realized the sprinkler was a waste, by the way. He just used a watering can. Not sure if the plant was growing any faster though. In any case, I set up the rest of the pots and went to sleep. On day 91, I realized that the plants wouldn't grow at all if they didn't have a light, which makes perfect sense now thinking about it. I went and bought some more suspension racks and lights at the warehouse, set it all up. After using the trimmers to harvest the plant, I got a total of 15 leaves, and the next day we got 80 total. Time to put them in the drying rack. This would take almost 12 hours to transform it into a better tier quality. Meanwhile, the leftover crystals were still mixing. Although, I wanted to make another batch of leaves without the drying rack to see how much of a difference there was in price and sales. I went to the cauldron, put the leaves inside, and poured all the gasoline. Then let the machine do its work. It would take around 6 hours. I needed to plant a new batch, so I paid my debt with Salvador, ordered some seeds, grabbed them at the dead drop, put it in the storage shelves, and then checked the cauldron to get the processed ingredient. Last but not least, I needed to cook it in the oven. The leaves on the rack were still drying, and not even in the next tier yet, so I put a couple more stacks in the cauldron. Following this, I bought more equipment to scale the operation. Even hired another botanist. Spent a good amount of time reorganizing the place and fitting all the new equipment. There was a lot to do, but then I had the final product. Without stopping, I put another batch to cook. I assigned the new botanist a bed and a supplies rack, plus the pots. Then I ordered even more seeds, bought some more soil, and struggled a bit trying to get the new employee to start working. I also had to buy some beds. Next morning, I had a meeting with Melissa, and she introduced me to her friend Jane Lucero, the new distributor. I hired her, assigned customers, and gave some stock. I also grabbed the new seeds. I kept ordering even more. The last step remaining was to mix the powder. I took the truck to the loading bay of the gas mart and loaded it up with ingredients. Back at the barn, I put the gas in the cauldrons, turned them all on, and then began mixing. One thing after the other, until I got a product worth $735. Next was mass production. I assigned the workers to take care of the mixing process with 2 machines at the same time. Grabbed the dead drop, ordered more seeds, and finally got my first full stack of my most valued creation. My magnum opus was done. The highest selling product ever. I put one in a bag and then went to the brick press, poured the powder, and pressed it into a brick. I put it on sale for the maximum price available. I got an offer straight away from Meg Cooley. 1 unit for over $1,100. I met with her and sealed the deal. But this was only the beginning. I had the product, but I needed to go to the next level, improve my workflow, my stations, the efficiency, reach new heights, and expand my empire to every corner of this city. These were my 100 days in Schedule 1.